Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming along to this session. My name is Tianna Camilleri, and I'm here to talk to you about a new ASANNA initiative starting. Firstly, a little bit about me. My day job is actually as an emergency department nurse in Brisbane. I'm a new graduate nurse myself, and I'm also the Vice President of ASANNA, the Australian Student and Novice Nurse Association. So ASANNA is a non-for-profit, completely volunteer organisation. We've been around publicly since 2013, and we have very quickly gained momentum in the last 2 years. We represent student and early career nurses up to 5 years post-graduation in all facets of nursing life that they need support with. Our key pillars are up here, as you can see: community, advocacy, support, and engagement. And we make sure that all of our projects address these. We offer advice surrounding graduate programs, advertising key events in the nursing world, and most importantly, this year we are full steam ahead with our membership services. We have a variety of membership services available. This is a screenshot from our website, including what to do after receiving a graduate position, links to student clubs and societies, and a new day in the life of a specialty nurse suite, which we've got under wraps at the moment, and many, many more. Most importantly, however, we are in the midst of launching a new project, which we hope will change the way that nursing placements occur as we see it currently. The project that I'm here to talk to you about is the I Want the Student project. So it was born 2 years ago when our then student coordinator was on placement on a busy ward. As most students are, she was very apprehensive about her first day of placement and what this new experience would bring for her. As the shift allocations for the day were being arranged during handover, one of the nurses in the ward exclaimed, "I want the student," and thus the idea was born. Meg envisaged a program where no student ever had to feel neglected, unwanted, or as if they were a burden ever again. And this is precisely what the I Want the Student program sets out to achieve. So you're probably thinking, okay, so a few students have had poor experiences over the years, can't be so bad. But our research has shown that poor relationships during clinical placement can have devastating effects on more than just the students. When we really sat down to look at the I Want the Student project and what it could really mean, even we didn't realise the depth of the impact that poor placement experiences can have. We noticed two major themes relating to poor placement experiences, one of them being alterations to the nurse attrition rate, and secondly, patient outcomes. One particular article that we looked at discusses horizontal violence and the bullying and aggression that is seen in workplace inflicted by one individual or group on another. The article discussed this at length, but the crux of it was that 90% of those who experienced horizontal violence personally stated that it would impact their future career choices and employment options. 90% is a staggering number. That's 4.5 out of the average 5 students that would be on a placement at any given time. And let me clarify, this horizontal violence isn't a criminal type of violence. It's things such as being left alone, being ignored, or nurses refusing to work with students because of their inexperience. Things I'm sure you've all experienced yourselves or seen occur on wards and different working environments over the years. Imagine how few students would go on to work in these clinical areas or in the nursing profession at all if this is the reception they're constantly receiving. Another article that we looked at looks at student experiences and belongingness during a clinical placement. It explored students' behaviours on placements and their behaviours in order to feel part of the team on this placement. It found that being accepted by a mentor was the significant motivator for learning, and the students were more inquisitive and performed better as a result of this belongingness. Students who didn't receive belongingness, the article states, were more likely to conform to poor practices that were not best practice in the workplace, simply to fit in with the staff and feel like they belonged. Furthermore, poor working environments lead to decreased job satisfaction, decreased job performance, and ultimately increased job turnover. This obviously has concerning repercussions for patient care and patient outcomes. So, what are we going to do about it? The ASANNA is currently liaising with educators from the Royal Prince Alfred Hospital in Sydney and New South Wales Health in order to launch our I Want the Student project at the RPA. We are awaiting approval currently for funding for a research nurse to help launch the project. So what will the program look like? The I Want the Student program primarily focuses on not placing blame. We're not saying that the students, the preceptors, or the faculty are individually responsible, but it is an accumulation of all of these factors that leads to a poor placement experience and a poor education relationship. Therefore, the I Want the Student project will address all relevant parties. As Burns 2006 aptly puts it, the role of the student, preceptor and faculty must work in synchrony for good learning outcomes to occur. And this is the principle on which the I Want the Student program is based. So firstly, the students. ASANNA will design online workshops and handy hints for students in order to prepare them for their placement. Tips will be transferable to all health care placements, primary health care included. Students will be given guidance on how to prepare for their first day in a clinical area, how to introduce themselves, how to explain to a preceptor about their scope of practice and where their understanding lies. They'll learn how to appropriately gain rapport with these nurses that they're working with and how to develop ideal relationships for learning. ASANNA will provide support for students who have difficult pairings with RNs and tips on how to approach their facilitator, NUM or practice manager if they're having any issues on placement. The student aspect of the program centres on empowering the student to have the skills that they need to perform to the best of their ability during their placement and where to turn to if there are issues with this. The preceptors will be given a more structured education. So ASANNA envisages that this will be provided in an in-service type scenario. Preceptors will be taught how to be approachable, patient and enthusiastic preceptors. They'll be armed with skills on how to appropriately question students on their knowledge and how to fill that gap while still educating the students in a nurturing environment. They'll learn strategies around time management with the student, as we all know can be difficult at times, and how to appropriately and diplomatically manage difficult student behaviours where necessary. ASANNA believes in Omansky's definition of the preceptor role, an individual whose role it is to guide a student from theory to the application of that theory as a role model, teaching clinical skills and critical thinking. Our ASANNA preceptors will be armed with the skills to do exactly that. Finally, the clinical work environment. So be it a ward, a GP practice, or any other clinical setting. The impact of this area will be a lot more fluid and subject to approval by managers, of course, but the intention is to have advertisement of the program and positive work encouragement for all staff, including the students. Examples include posters with tips and tricks for use on a daily basis and contact numbers for the I Want the Student champion and where to go to seek further support and information. The clinical area will become a place of acceptance and learning for all students and preceptors alike. Now, I'm sure you're all thinking, this is a primary healthcare conference. What on earth does this have to do with primary healthcare? Which is a very good question. In the short, the results of the program may not quite reach your shores as the funding that we're applying for is specific within the RPA hospital. However, ASANNA hopes the I Want the Student program will extend far further than this small trial that we're applying for. So a prime example of key opportunity to use this would be in conjunction with the APNA Transition to Practice program. The I Want the Student program is not exclusive to university students either. It covers the basis for all newly graduated nurses or simply nurses new to a clinical area. No matter what stage in your career or which clinical area you work in, adjusting to a new environment requires practice, patience, understanding, and positive learning environments and relationships. Once the trial at the RPA is complete and adequate adjustments to the program are made, ASANNA intends to roll the I Want the Student program out to all clinical environments, especially primary healthcare. So a model that we found in our research was proposed by the American Association for Critical Care Nurses, and that's a picture of their model down there. And they found that optimal care for patients is achieved when patient needs are matched with nursing competencies by linking preceptorship, leadership, and learning. Their model has been shown to increase retention, decrease attrition, as well as improve productivity and, most importantly, patient care standards. That is a healthcare system in which we want to operate, and that is a healthcare system that ASANNA is working towards achieving. The I Want the Student program is a program integral to the development and retention of highly skilled and educated, patient-focused nurses with a positive approach to learning. No student deserves to be neglected, no preceptor deserves to be unprepared, and no patient deserves to be compromised. By implementing the I Want the Student program in all facets of healthcare in Australia, we can take giant steps to mitigating these factors.
Sorry, Jackie Young from University of Queensland. Obviously, I work with student placements, so it's very dear to me, this subject. I'm just wondering if sometimes with some universities they have these short 2-week placements and whether that really affects how the students are, taken in when they go into clinical placement. They're just seen there as being there for a short time, not too much effort put into them, those sorts of things.
Yeah, so I think absolutely definitely a factor. The idea behind this is that eventually it will be such a widespread program that, ideally, every ward in every hospital will have preceptors that are trained, and ideally the students, in conjunction with the facilitators, will be allocated to the preceptors who've done the training and who are most willing to accept and learn with the students, and that we can get in contact with universities and make sure students are put in contact with the student version of the I Want the Student project, so that no matter what ward or what placement, you're always going to have the students having the correct education to come into the placement and the preceptors with the correct receiving education as well.
And is that online tool going to be available for all students, whether they're a member of ASANNA or not?
At the moment, we haven't decided specifically. So at the moment, ASANNA membership is free. So in the first instance, absolutely. We are looking at potentially moving towards paid membership years down the track. So we'll have to relook at how the program looks at that point. Yeah. Thank you, Julianne.
This is a wonderful, wonderful initiative. I feel so proud of you. I always do. But I really look to the near future where I hope that APNA can learn from your work and work with you further on this. I just think it's amazing. I want a student.
Thank you, Julian. And I will take this opportunity to thank APNA. They have been supporters of us from the very beginning, and we would absolutely, hand on heart, not be where we are today without Julianne and the rest of the APNA team's support. So thank you very, very much.